Hello, everyone. Welcome back into the DCU Experience. We are here again for another week. Have we missed a week? I don't think we have, unless we have, in which case I
Yeah, two
apologize
weeks
for
ago.
that. Okay, well, we did miss a
We
week, but we are back this week. We are minus one person. Crisis is not here. He, unfortunately, been a little sick, got a little fever, a little tickle in the throat, so we wish him well. But Nick and True are here alongside me, and we are going to carry on as we must do because there was a lot of news to talk about this week. But before we get into that, for all the people watching live, if you would like to leave a super chat down in the chat box there on YouTube, we will answer any and all super chats in a Q&A at the end of this episode. Also, the DCU Experience is sponsored by GamerSups. If you would like to save 10% off your order, head to gamersups.gg/key issues and tell them the DCU Experience sent you. But like I said, we've got Nick, we've got True. There's a lot to talk about. And you all have seen the thumbnail. I got to say, I think it's one of the best that we've made thus far. I hope everyone enjoys my Superman flight pose there, but that was the controversy. A new little teaser clip was posted online, and I believe it's the clip that's being shown on television during commercials and stuff. But in that little teaser trailer, we do have, like, I don't know how long it is, 2 seconds maybe max of a new part of the Superman flying clip where he does a little like somersault and then you see his face and he's like flying directly at the camera. And I don't know why this caused such a big uproar online, but I thought it looked fine. I thought it looked good, and I didn't know there was a problem until everyone told me that there was a problem. What did you guys think of it when you first saw it? And do you think that it looks bad?
so I first want to start by saying, Garrick, I apologize. I immediately turned that light off.
It's
I know you said it looked better, but I thought
all
made me look
good.
like I had jaundice, so I turned it off
Okay,
immediately.
it's fine.
It was terrifying. And then right after that happened, my 5-year-old ran downstairs. So if you were anybody who was watching this was wondering what I was just poking at a second ago, it was my 5-year-old who wanted to hang out. So, but I like to I push my children away for you guys. Okay?
Thank you.
For you.
Yeah,
I kicked my family out of here.
for
Now
sure.
back to Superman. Look, never have I felt more disrespected in my life than in the 3 seconds of Superman flying footage that I saw. I mean, all anticipation that I had for this film was ripped out of my body like a fucking Horcrux getting stabbed by Voldemort. It was that no, I don't give a shit. Like I think it looks great personally. Like I loved it, but we live in a day and age where on Twitter's like a hellhole. Everybody on there is a miserable like sack of shit, and all they do is nitpick every little thing that exists. And frankly, it's killed the entire comic book movie community. Like all these people grew up being like hype on stuff, and now they're all at that like contrarian edgelord phase of their life, and all they do is spend on all day being terminally online complaining about things. And that's where we're at now. Like that meme that perfectly encapsulated where this it says literally the coolest thing ever, and somebody goes, "This is a piece of shit." It's like, no, this is really awesome, and you have bad taste. That's where I'm at.
I saw it in the opposite way. I heard about the controversy. I was like, oh no, is that bad CG? Did they have like a really bad shot? Then I watched it and I still don't understand what the problem actually
Either,
is with the
either do
shot.
I.
So
It's
people
such
just
fake.
want something to hate. Like it's so
It's
worthless.
such fake controversy, man. Like it's the
Yeah.
biggest piece of like fake news ever. And it kind of sucks that like we have to like we're discussing it because it's in the spirit of the DCU and what we're kind of talking about. We're trying to keep that hype and energy alive, but this is like anti-hype. This is making me it makes me dislike comic book media fans more than it makes me like less hype for Superman, if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
want to like I don't want to I want to discuss things with fans that like make me excited, like characters that could appear, costumes, storylines they could adapt, Easter eggs, not like I didn't think his boots were good enough. Oh, his hair looked weird when it was flying. Like, shut the fuck up. God, you're boring. You have to like get a single opinion that isn't like curated through an algorithm.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll
Sorry,
be
I'm
really
sorry.
interesting
I'm
to
like I'm here. I was here earlier, and then you got me here just bringing it up.
Oh, my fault. Well, it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see what you have to say when we talk about our next topic. But sticking
I hope it's not the Suicide Squad from 2016 because I can't do another week.
It's not.
We can.
Okay.
I mean, we could.
You're
yeah,
right, we should.
We can definitely fit another week.
So the main problem I have with Suicide Squad is the purple Lamborghini that. No, I'm kidding.
Rick Ross really didn't bring the level of wordplay and finesse that I thought he would to that song. But no,
He did
Superman.
not elevate the squad.
I thought it looked good, and then everyone was saying like, well, look at his eyes, it's CG. And I had like people in our Discord server saying it was like AI, and I was like, what are you guys talking about? And yeah, maybe his like right eye, we're looking at it, our left, his right eye, is like a little wall-eyed. I can admit
see it.
that it does look like that a little bit. And but I didn't notice it when I first saw it, and normal people are not going to notice it, especially when it happens like in the movie, like it's just going to be Superman flying and no one's going to be like inspecting it with a magnifying glass. But James Gunn was hearing so much about it that he actually came out and said something. He was like, this is not CGI. That's a real background plate that we shot. That is actually David, probably on a green screen with like a harness and a fan blowing in his face. Like, this is 100% real, and put
Eric,
one over top of the other.
That's not how that was done. That was not David Cornsweat on a green screen. That was Superman flying through the actual Arctic, and there was a camera GoPro in front of him. Okay,
my fault.
That's how James did it, and he told me.
Crypto recording.
Big shout out to James.
Yeah. Crypto's got a
a
GoPro strapped to his back. Yeah. That's how we got all that footage. Shout out to the goodest boy. But yeah, really weird controversy to come out, but it was something that was on fire on social media. And like you said, Nick, it just felt like a lot of pioneering of just people that are already wanting to hate it. And then
certain group.
Yeah, certain people that shall not be named. But when you have a character shot in that sort of wide screen with a close-up to their face, that's what James Gunn said. It can look a little bit weird. And we've seen this before with characters flying recently in films like Black Adam or Adam Warlock, for example. So, I mean, it's not necessarily something we haven't seen, but it's just the magic of the movies, baby. And it looks good. I thought the flip was sick, and I think David looks awesome.
I like.
I just wish that we didn't live in this age where like the only way we're so binary in how we look at everything nowadays as a society. And like, I hate to do like the whole old man up on a soapbox rant, but it does feel like when it comes to anything in any type of fandom, and fandoms have really become the power of like, again, old man speech, but the power of the internet has really helped kind of bring fans of things together, but it's also helped amplify the voices of like the shittiest elements of those fandoms. And with how binary people are today, something is either the coolest thing ever, aka this to me, or it's like absolute dog shit, which is what other people are seeing in the same stuff. And I have never been like, I'm a hater. I'm a grade A hater of certain things, but I don't ever sit around and actively like just shit talk something that I'm not interested in. Like if I see something and I'm like, that's not for me, then I just go, okay, I'm done with it. I'm moving on to something else. I don't like follow the fandom around and be like, you still like this thing? Like, you're like, don't you have any like time? Don't you have anything that you're doing, like a goal in life? Is this it? Like that's it for you? So because it's just kind of it's like super pathetic behavior, and it's killed the anticipation for so many of these projects. Like we talked about Blue Beetle last week on here for a good bit. I think if more people would have given that movie a chance, it would have done really well at the box office. Was it a 10 out of 10? No, but it wasn't like a 5 or a 6. It was a solid like 7.5, 8 feeling movie, but it got shit on by the the crappiest people on Twitter and crappiest people on the internet, and they just then you talk to people, and they're like, I heard it's bad. How did you hear it's bad? Did you watch it? No. Did you see the trailer? No. Some people told me it's bad. Who? Imaginary people that I'm friends with on the internet think it's this or that. It's like, okay, well, that's not really an opinion. Those are just people engagement farming. I don't know what to tell you.
Those people probably also didn't watch it either, right? It's so
Yeah,
it's this
the
game of
people that
Chinese
get
whispers
paid
with no
get people
origin.
get paid a ton of money, like those YouTubers that won't be named, to just hate everything. They project this like toxic coffin level poisonous mist around them. Anything they touch, they just kill the fandom for, and it's like, it sucks, dude.
It's so hard to engage with media as well because I want to be able to like. This happens every Wednesday. I'll read the new comics and I'm like, man, I can't wait to go online to discuss with all my other comic book fans, and it's just the worst conversations. No one's even having reasonable conversations. The same with games or anything nowadays. It's just, but I don't want to put myself in an echo chamber where I'm only
Exactly.
listening to positive opinions. I want to be able to criticize something, and there's very few fan bases where they can give actual criticisms without going into either personal attacks or just being weird about it.
Yeah.
So it's very, very hard to like thread that line of, yeah, we can criticize the things that we like, but we still like it. We are part of the fan base, and we can engage with other media, and we have things going on in our lives that isn't just this one piece of media. So
Yeah.
if one thing is wrong, my entire week is ruined, right?
And that's the craziest thing about this to me is like when you see this shot of Superman flying, of David Cornsweet flying, if you would not have if I was a normal person who didn't, who wasn't on Twitter just terminally like I am a lot of the time, you would have never convinced nobody could walk up to me on the street after seeing that and say people really don't like the way that this looks. I'd be like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like, this is crazy. But here we are. Like, the level of nitpicking has just reached its absolute apex. I don't know how we can get any worse as a fandom, but I mean, this is certainly pushing the limits of what I'm like. That's why what I do online is I'll just bait people. Like, I'm totally fine with it. I'll get online and be like, yeah, well, maybe don't piss your pants over it, and people get really mad, and I enjoy ruining their day, and I think that's because they think that they're ruining mine, but they're not. I'm gonna be there day one, largest bucket of popcorn you can get. Garrick and I are gonna be cuddled up under a blanket together, if he wants. No pressure, but the popcorn will be there.
Yeah, might be the first movie I ever buy one of those popcorn buckets for. It depends on what the popcorn bucket is. If it's Superman's head and I have to like take his scalp off,
Yeah, you have to take it out of his right eye that's slightly ajar.
I don't like that. I don't want to do that. So
But what would you want it to be then?
maybe like
Crypto's mouth.
the Fortress
Yeah, I
of
was thinking.
Solitude or something. And you
Maybe
just
his
yeah,
pod.
Fortress of
take
Solitude
it
would be
open in
tight.
half, or just a big S, like Superman S. I don't know.
An S-shaped bucket.
Yeah, well, like the Superman emblem shape.
Oh
You know
right.
what I mean? And then I can reach.
So it's like a
in there.
chocolate box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but standing straight up and down. I don't know. I
Yeah.
see. I'm not one to come up with the ideas for the popcorn bucket. I'm the guy to buy the popcorn bucket, and it's gonna have to be a good one for me to invest because I have not done it yet. Dune would have been the one to go into. I think that might be a collector's item down the road because of the meme. But other than that,
that's the forbidden one.
yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking.
Other than that, they all seem like a huge waste of money, like an insane waste of your fine-earned dollars. But as far as the topic of like criticism goes, I think we're all sort of in the same boat where we're not like, okay, we have a podcast about the DCU specifically. Like, we're really excited about it. We want it to succeed, but we're not above criticizing it. And I think that has shown throughout the episodes where I think we fairly criticized Creature Commandos, and we want to.
I was a grade A hater to Creature Commando. Yeah. Not all of it, but like
yeah.
when we talk
I don't
about,
even know if
we
Nick
talk about
enjoyed it at all. to be honest.
When we talked about Frankenstein and some of the story elements, I mean, I was super negative, but I felt like I was constructive in how in the reasoning why I was negative about those elements. Like I was there, but I also kind of highlight things that I certainly like. It really does feel to like I try to. At the end of the day, I'm a fan of all of this crap, even if I don't like a specific comic book
Whoa, crap!
property.
Watch your
Yeah.
mouth.
Well, yeah.
Hold on.
Let's not go that far.
I meant crap in the I don't know what I meant by that. I'm sorry. But no, I just mean in the sense that like I like all of these properties, even if I don't like them enough to own like, I don't know, a comic book run of a character or, action figures or merchandise about them. I might still, I'm still interested enough in these properties to give them a shot and check them out. There's very few uh, comic films out there that I think are just so or shows that are so bad that they're like unwatchable. But I do think that people have gotten to a point where they're just in general they're just kind of burnt out of all of it. And instead of taking a step back and just being like, I'm only gonna check out like the stuff that really looks like it appeals to me, they're just online all the time, hate like clicking, hate reading everything that they see, and
Let's.
that sucks.
Here's a little thought experiment for you.
I try not to think too
Just
much.
to devil's advocate on these type of people, because we
Okay.
know what we're
Okay.
talking about, right?
Hmm.
Yes.
And I think everyone listening knows who we're talking about as well. But let's imagine for a second the DCU comes out. We get Superman, we get Supergirl, we get Lanterns. We get like 4 or 5 projects, right? And they're sick. They're like our favorite thing. Superman's like the best movie ever made. Supergirl
Okay.
is an amazing follow up. Green Lanterns, you couldn't even imagine a better Green Lantern series. And then
I can already.
all of a sudden, seemingly out of nowhere, they replace our director with some other guy who ruins his movie, quote unquote, and then it all gets canceled. I might turn into a crazy person too and post online. Now, as playing that devil's advocate, I don't think any of those movies, are that good, but I could understand like being that upset about something you really care about. But like Nick said, at some point you just got to move on. Like I understand
Yeah,
being upset about it,
that's
but there's no
yeah,
reason
that's
to
the
like
big point to
tear
me.
down the new stuff because you
Th-
don't
there's
like your old stuff's
there's no
gone.
amount there's no amount of pissing your pants over the loss of this previous universe. Let's call it what it is. We're talking about people who cannot move on from the previous universe. And those people, I get it that you like something, that you are really invested in that, but these studios are not they're not nonprofits, man. They are here to make as much
True.
money as possible. And if the same people were so toxically positive about these films when they came out, then maybe they would have built more hype. The best that they got out of it was the Snyder cut, and after that, the universe was pretty much DOA. All the films that came out after that really just didn't resonate with audiences. And you can sit here and you can justify the problems that or the box office versus this and that, but at the end of the day, Warner Brothers did what they did. They pivoted. They saw the writing on the wall and they said we got to have a cohesive vision, and this is what we have now. And granted, it looks pretty sick, but people don't want to give anything a shot anymore, and it just kind of sucks.
I I don't understand actually allowing something like media to truly negatively impact your life because these people are
I
on
know.
Twitter all the time. I've been
Yeah.
upset at X or Y decisions in lots of pieces of media, and then I'll step away and I'm like, wait a minute, let me go outside, let me actually go to work or speak to my family. It's like, okay, well, that stuff is so irrelevant, and I can pick up other things. I think that might be the problem. I wonder if it's all they had was a Snyderverse. Maybe they don't like
Maybe.
anything except for Snyder, and um, so that being gone now is they now have like a void in their life or something. It's just a very weird thing. You can't let media control you in such a strange way. You have to just learn how to engage with things.
Got to diversify your portfolio. You know,
Yeah.
if Star Wars is pissing me off, maybe I'll watch something else. If Marvel's pissing me off, maybe I'll check out something else. It's
Eric, that's a great example, especially because I'm sorry to cut you off because I've been talking a lot this episode, and I don't mean to go on
He's got a
rants,
lot
but
to say.
you and me, we were talking about Star Wars quite a bit over the last couple years, and I kind of told you a number of times, like, I'm not really, like, it's not really for me right now. Like, I still love, some of the films and some of the sequel trilogy I really enjoyed, but a lot of the shows haven't really spoke to me. But I'll tell you what I don't do is I don't get on there and go, if you like if you're a big fan of Skeleton Crew, then you're a piece of shit. I hope everything you like in the world burns down to ashes. I just don't have time to do that, and it's just such a weird stance. Like, just chill. Wait for something that you see that you think looks cool, and then if it disappoints you, I don't know, move on.
Yeah.
Play Marvel Rivals. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Listen, if you're, in the mood for sci-fi, go and read 40K. There's lots of different ways to engage with something similar. It's just absolutely unhinged to be that entitled to a single verse or a single creator or anything like that. It is mentally
we are
taxing
very
for you.
spoiled for choice in this day and age. If you're a fan of superheroes, there's no shortage of superheroes for you to take a look at. It doesn't even have to be DC, Marvel. It can be any number of independent studios making television shows, movies, comics, and video games, etc. forever. So, I mean, just take a step back and realize that maybe you're the bad guy. Maybe Superman looks cool as hell doing a little flip, and just enjoy it. But yeah, I think it's all been way overblown. Can you criticize the shot, the 2-second shot? Sure, you can definitely do that, and you can do it constructively. And I don't think anything that James Gunn has made is above criticism. I don't think he's
Except for
made any.
Guardians.
There's
For sure.
Guardians 3 maybe, but Guardians 3 isn't that the best one?
Well, I mean, it's a perfect thing to say too, because Guardians 1, great, one of the best MCU films. Terrible villain, almost no development in the villain.
Yeah, true.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, plenty of things that people complain about. People were kind of expecting the world. It was not delivered the same way, but great film overall. Guardians 3, I refuse to accept any slander for. That film is pillar to post one of the best comic films ever made. But maybe if you didn't like how woke the otter was or whatever, I get it. I don't know.
I'm not sure
The otter was a girl.
Oh,
Trash.
okay. Look, I was so confused. Oh man.
Yeah, so I think we can all agree we like the shot and we're excited for more. I mean, we're talking about a 2-second little clip for 30 minutes now, and I think that just speaks to the power that is Superman, and it was getting hundreds of thousands of likes, just that little 2-second clip all over social media on every site. People were talking about it, and most people loved it. I think the movie is going to be an absolute smash hit, and every single thing that comes out for it, I can't wait to see more. The little flip kept me fed for the week. So give me one more little flip. Give me a crypto flip, and I'll be good for a month. So the more that comes out, I think the more we'll be excited. And hopefully, I don't know when we're going to see more. I don't know if there's going to be a new version of the trailer shown during the Super Bowl or something, but that would be awesome, and would be absolutely excited to see that. But that wasn't the only bit of news. I know we talked again a lot about literally 2 seconds of footage, but there was some actual news that came out this week, and that is Sinestro was cast. And Nick has some thoughts after just lambasting people for hating things. Ulrich Thompson, a gentleman who I really did not recognize. I'm not really familiar with his work. I've looked through his IMDb. Couldn't tell you. I couldn't differentiate him between two similar looking guys. I really have not seen him in that much. And if I have, I didn't know who he was until now. So I really don't have that much of an opinion on the actor himself. As far as like DCU castings go, I think thus far they've all been on point. And as far as James Gunn specific castings have gone, and I don't know if he's casting this role specifically, they've all been pretty much. I can't complain about any of them. I love all the Guardians. I love the Suicide Squad. And I love everybody that's been in the Creature Commandos thus far. But there was some controversy surrounding Ulrich Thompson being cast as Sinestro.
Nope.
And the main controversy, I think Nick and True both sort of agree here, is the actor's age. How long the character might be around based on the actor's age, and how well he'll be able to perform, being an ultra powerful Yellow Lantern and the ultimate foil to Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. So I'll open it up to you guys.
I will say, I like the casting. Before Nick gets on here and starts spouting his hate, I will say I enjoy it. We have an old, I forgot to speak, an older Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
Makes sense. We have an older Sinestro. Obviously, we have not seen him in anything, so he could be a secret, like, hidden gem. Hopefully, that's the case. Or it could just be someone that we don't know. For the age, I don't really think it matters. In one point of the action scenes, this is Green Lantern. It's all going to be CG, claws and energy beams and things like that. So I doubt his physicality is going to impact that. The only thing that I kind of wished was I wanted to see Sinestro start the DCU as a Green Lantern. That's the one thing I really wanted, but it seems that that's not going to be the case, just because of how old he'll be at this point in time. Nick, you can now start hating.
The floor is yours.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. No, I really don't have a lot negative to say. I was going to open it up and joke about being like, hey, guys, I'm a hypocrite because... But, when it was first announced, I saw the actor and I was like, okay, the dude's in his early 60s. And, so I'm gonna be very real with everybody that is here. Sinestro, so I'm a huge, Garrick knows, True knows, I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. Like, that is like, him and Superman are like my main heroes that I love to follow in the DC universe. And Sinestro is one of my favorite comic book villains of all time. I think he's very well written in a number of different ways. But the version of him that we've already kind of seen, the version of him. I thought Mark Strong in the original Green Lantern film did a really good job of playing Sinestro as a like Green Lantern, like a very like strict Green Lantern. And we never got to see, where that was going to go because obviously that movie was ass. But again, it was ass. Have I made it my entire personality? No, I haven't. I moved on. I lived my life. And frankly, it's great. We're getting a new show. I know that Kyle Chandler, right? Is that the actor that plays Hal Jordan?
Yep.
Okay. He's older. Sinestro's older. I think they're going to do like kind of a we've been facing off for a number of years kind of thing. This is my foil, you're my antithesis kind of thing out there, Batman and the Joker, except in space. And I'm willing to give the guy a shot. I hope that the look of the character in both worlds is accurate. Both Green Lantern and Sinestro look, similar to their comic book counterparts. No CGI like weird body things. But other than that, I've kind of come around. I've seen the light. I let my reactionary side simmer down for a second because at the end of the day, like I have seen stuff with Ulrich Thompson in it, like Banshee. He's a very good actor. And he doesn't. I mean, he's an older dude now, but I think the only thing I'm really concerned with in terms of Lanterns as a property and Sinestro and Hal Jordan both being older gentlemen in the film. When I say older, I mean 55 plus. they are, that kind of closes the door for certain options, for, how long can Sinestro realistically be alive around in a threat? You have to pivot to other villains but Green Lantern has a ton of stuff out there. They got Atrocitus, Larfleeze, Manhunters, Necron. They got all
Hector
random kinds of
Hammond.
bullshit from Hector Hammond, again, if you want to do that. So there are options, and just because Sinestro is not played by like a 40-year-old Chris Hemsworth level ripped dude doesn't mean that their version of this character will not be intimidating and psychological and all the things that I want out of him. So I have simmered down. I'm not crazy, and most importantly, this is the most important part. I didn't make it my whole identity. I didn't get online and piss my pants every day because they didn't cast the character that I liked. I just moved on with my life.
Oh.
Dang, round of applause for Nick for moving on with his life.
Thank you very much.
But let me take a second to talk to Jim Gunn here, because I do it every week. Jim, you really got to run some of these by me, okay? The Robin Hood hat from last week, the curly cute goatee, you haven't called. Where are you?
Nope.
You have my number.
Yeah, if there's anything for the Lantern series that I would request out of James, it's to see Dexstar, the #1 Lantern in the history of Lanterns. If you're not familiar with Dexstar, the little kitty cat who's a Red Lantern
cat.
Yeah. And I think that's in James's wheelhouse. He loves having little sidekick critter characters.
Yeah, if you can make Rocket Raccoon, you can make a Dexstar that I cry.
Can you imagine like the
Dexstar's
origin?
His origin story is miserable.
Yeah,
I'd love to cry to that in the theater, and I do cry, and I will.
We definitely need Dexter versus Crypto. I think that should be the final fight of the entire
universe. That's like Infinity War Endgame level.
It all hangs on the balance.
We'll have
there's all kinds of weird little there's all kinds of weird little creeps in the Green Lantern universe, like in terms of like different lanterns that just look there's like a little bug one, there's a gaseous one, there's one that's just
a planet,
there's one that's just exactly. So if you're like, cat's too much, sorry, you hate fun things,
you gotta strap in, because like Green Lantern,
you know what I didn't even
go ahead,
sorry. You know what I didn't even think about in the Lanterns universe? We need to get a Saint Walker, buddy.
Yeah.
We need that casted. We need Saint Walker casted immediately.
Yep. 100%.
All right, sorry.
Green Lantern, I mean, the Lanterns in general are like their own little universe within the DC comics that is so expansive and interesting. It's basically like, I think you could align it a little bit with something like Star Wars. I think it really can be that expansive. You can have,
because they mostly fight wars in the stars.
You can have a Green Lantern cinematic universe that is completely separated from the DC universe. You could have shows,
sign me up,
split up, spin-offs and everything, and it's all Green Lantern related, and you never see another DC character ever pop in.
The GLCU. There you go.
Yeah. So I think the room for the Green Lanterns and all the other Lantern Corps for just being its own little pocket universe is huge. And then eventually like signing up and cohabitating with everything else. Sort of how like the Guardians of the Galaxy did, where they're like their own thing. And then they showed up for Infinity War and came in and kicked some ass. You could do a really similar thing with Lanterns, but make it even like more expansive and all-encompassing. Just because
the 2,000 lanterns just roll up on Earth to help stop something crazy from happening. They just swarm over the whole planet like the ghosts in Return of the King.
Yeah.
That's my Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Return of the King. Aragorn would be a sick Green Lantern as long as we're on the subject.
Drew's really pondering this.
No, because I'm thinking.
I broke his brain.
I'm just thinking maybe he'd be better as Blue. I
Okay.
think bringing the hope to the people. But yeah, I was gonna ask though, costumes, lanterns.
Yes, white
Do
gloves. We
you
want to see it.
want
White emblem.
physical costumes or CG?
Absolutely.
I want
Absolutely.
physical costumes,
Mhm.
obviously enhanced by CG, but
Yes.
please not what we got. To be fair to the like Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie, I don't think that the suit was necessarily like too weird looking. I know
No.
that like the CG maybe isn't at the level that we have it today, but I think it looked fine. I think what was wrong with it was the design was bad.
Yes.
It was like a symbiote like suit and didn't feel tactile in any sort of way. Where I think
hmm
like Hal Jordan's suit or costume in the comics for the most part does feel like something that someone would actually wear. I think it has a lot to do with the way that it's broken up, where you have like the white come down to like the mid elbow
Mhm.
area, you have the boots, and everything looks like it's something somebody would wear. It's like similar to Batman or Superman's costume, but you can sort of like manifest it at will if you would like to in the movies. But just make it look like it's a real thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like that was the big disconnect I think between audiences in that Green Lantern
The-
costume.
I think that you kind of hit the biggest technological point for me, which is that I don't think the technology was was ready yet for what they wanted to do with the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern suit. Um, I'm not sure, even Endgame, which had a lot of digital suits, like the time suits they were digital or were CGI. There's been a lot of, but I mean, that technology is enhancing so rapidly. I think that we still are in agreement on the core fundamental here, which is let's do a combination of both. Let's have a base that is a believable suit that they could wear and move around in that feels like it is protecting them and shielding them, enhanced by lighting and graphical effects and junk like that to make it kind of put a little pop, put a little spring in it. But other than that, is there any kind of like specific look that you guys want? Like obviously we have the bowl cut. Also, by the way, Garrick, great hat. But bowl cut looking Guy Gardner already. Is there like a look that you want for Hal Jordan, for John Stewart, in terms of how they present? They pretty much wear the same. They haven't really had a whole lot of advancement in their Green Lantern costume. Like they don't have like the jacket over top or like the vest or anything. I just don't know what you guys are thinking about there.
Outside of the white gloves, there's not much I'd really want them to change. They've had these costumes. There's like a little alteration here or there, depending on the artist and the
hmm
era. But they're because they're kind of uniforms, right? So I
Yeah.
think they should
Yeah.
all kind of fit a similar vibe. Um, I really wouldn't want them to change. Please.
I pulled up images of John Stewart just while we were talking here, and I was like looking at different versions of him across the last couple decades, and the man has not had a costume upgrade in forever. It's just the same drip, which is
You don't
fine.
need to upgrade
You don't
Pete,
mess with
bro.
Yeah.
you don't mess with perfection. But
Superman's has been the same for decades.
I would like to see it some type of this is one of the rare times where I really feel like a texturized approach to like body armor would look cool if enhanced properly with the green silhouetted outglow. It doesn't have to be popping like crazy, but just like a light, almost like what we have in our thumbnails and stuff like that, where you kind of take a light layer around them of the green
Yeah.
energy. Yeah, so just cool stuff like that where I think if you try to make it too CGI, like too weird, it's gonna end up coming across as just
Yeah.
Yeah.
a
It's
little
I,
poop.
I think I don't know if I disagree with you guys because I've always
And
imagined
too
Green
good,
Lantern
too strong.
suits as more CG because they're not. it's not like a Superman suit where he goes and puts his suit on, right?
Yeah.
Their suits are they'll have the regular civilian clothing, and then they'll activate the ring and create their suits above them. So I've always just imagined them to be more CG, but then obviously that looks bad if they're walking around the entire time with it. Especially with this being a show as well, right? I don't think they'll have the budget to have really nice CG for a
Except
long
the
period
purple
of time.
lanterns, which just basically wear like thongs and random bullshit.
I
Please
think
bring them in, James.
I think
Knock,
that
knock.
the suits should be practical. It'd be easy enough to do like a CGI suit up,
Mhm.
but then have them be practical. I mean, back in the day when Iron Man was in his early days, he was wearing practical suits around the set. RDJ was, and
Yep.
then when you think about Blue Beetle, more recently had a practical suit on, but was enhanced by CG, and then of course the suit up scenes were CG, and then you just have him in the suit walking around. So I think that would be the best way to go. As far as like flair and design, I do
Yeah.
think they should be pretty standard. I want to see the white integrated. I think these things are important for character design, and it's like I get that everyone wants to put their own spin on it, but there's no need to like reinvent the wheel here. Green Lantern is iconic and he looks that way for a reason. Superman the same, Batman the same. Make your little changes here or there. But I think we can really, for once, just sort of dive into the comic book source material and try and bring those to life the best we can instead of making all these drastic changes like we've seen, especially with Batman in the history of Batman suits. I think the closest obvious, honestly, has been Ben Affleck's from the DC Extended Universe to being something that was brought straight off the page. But that being said, I think that James Gunn, specifically in his projects, has done a fantastic job and has gone above and beyond, especially when we're talking about the DC projects that he's done. The costumes in the Suicide Squad specifically were amazing and very much felt like the characters coming out of the comic book pages.
Yeah.
But for Sinestro, that's a character you can do a little bit more with, especially if he's a Sinestro that's been around a while. His head's a little bit big, literally and figuratively. You could have like a big collar, big shoulders, looking like Jafar in Aladdin. You know what I'm talking about? Like just
Yeah.
Oh,
do
the
a
parallax
yeah,
armor
yeah,
type
yeah.
thing.
You could
Yeah.
just do that.
Maybe
off
he
the
has a
rip.
comical sidekick, Yellow Lantern Parrot, with the voice of Gilbert Godfrey. Sorry, I'm going off on a rant. Here.
Like,
Unfortunately, he's
be
no longer with us. But if he
Yeah.
were,
You could AI his voice.
Oh,
in there.
relax.
Please
We are
don't even
never
bring
do
that
that.
up. Holy. That would be the death of the DCU.
yeah,
Oh.
that would be the worst thing ever.
I'm just asking questions. I'm just spitballing ideas.
But yeah, I think Sinestro you could really amp up to make him look distinct and more regal and more haughty or egotistical than this
question.
simple Green Lantern.
Question. Do you think that he's going to start out with the black and blue drip, or is he going to start out as a Yellow Lantern? Just established.
I'm assuming
Like,
he
we
would just
hate
be
that
a
guy.
Yellow Lantern, yeah.
I want to see the
we're gonna
origins,
skip-
though.
We're gonna
we
skip
might.
the-
I mean, it's a show. I think we'll get plenty of flashbacks
Yeah,
of
true.
like younger Hal Jordan and younger Sinestro. It's going to be this sort of like two cops, one grizzled teaching the young guy the ropes, and I'm sure Hal Jordan at some point is going to tell Jon Stewart like Sinestro is this guy, we used to be buddies, he's he's a terrorist now, and he sucks, and he's really strong, so don't mess around with him.
I hope he doesn't get. I feel like he might probably just get the Harley Quinn-esque treatment where we just skip a huge chunk of his backstory and go through to the next session. But I think that can be worth fine.
Yeah,
for some,
especially
some
since we did kind of see it in the original Green Lantern film with Ryan Reynolds. Like we saw them sort of become friends, and then their ideologies sort of.
Do you guys think that the fact do you think that the fact that this show is going to be on HBO will lend itself to a certain level of maturity as well? Because
Yeah, I think so.
Green Lantern deals with some heavy, heavy topics too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know it's supposed to be like they've kind of said that it's going to be effectively like True Detective in space, or it's primarily going to be focused on Earth, but that's kind of what they want the vibe to feel like.
Hmm.
And obviously, those are very serious shows. So I don't think that this is going to be. I think one of the downsides of the 2000
Six.
whatever year Ryan Reynolds came out, 8, 9. One of the downsides of that is that it just tonally was a little bit too campy and too Ryan
Yeah, I mean the
Reynoldsy.
like Hot Wheels track, and like
Yeah,
they had that
and I
exact
think
Hot Wheels like for sale outside in the lobby when you left the theater. Like it was just,
Uh,
yeah.
and I think that this can just if it can paint a little bit more of a serious tone. Not everything needs to be grimdark levels of serious, like the Batman levels of like slow motion terror walking. But if we could get, a little bit more seriousness, I would be happy with that too as well.
I think
oh,
Green Lantern is a franchise that can lend itself to that sort of tone, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dealing with basically, you know, space detectives that are
yeah.
dealing with very serious situations, catastrophic many times.
I mean,
What
one of the most legendary Green Arrow, Green Lantern runs. One of the things that really kind of brought the character into the limelight of comic book readers was when they tackled drugs. The
Mhm.
famous issue with Speedy doing heroin on the cover is
Yeah.
still to this day like that's a shocking image to see, you know. So for them to dip their toes into there, not saying that they needed to address like fentanyl in the series or something, but like I'm just saying that the groundwork exists for that universe to be more serious.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so cool about the DCU thus far is how committed they are to doing more mature things. You can have like something that's more comedic and mature, like Peacemaker or Creature Commandos or the Suicide Squad, and you can have something that's more family oriented, hopeful, very very superhero with the Superman movie that's going to come out. And then you can also have something that's like, okay, we're going to have a more mature drama with what Green Lantern is shaping up to be. So it's the thing that we've brought up before and we'll keep bringing up and emphasizing is how this universe is truly, I think, for the first time going to feel like the comic books brought to life. And not to say that the Marvel Cinematic Universe hasn't done that very well in some instances, but those were sort of out on the fringe where you had like the Netflix series which had a different tone from the main movies, which
Yeah,
were pretty
Mm.
much uniform across the board. We knew what we were getting. There were some
Especially
more,
later on.
yeah, there were
I think
some
that's
more
what
mature stories like Civil War and Winter Soldier and things like that. But I think this is going to be way different. Like with Doctor Strange, we were supposed to get a horror movie, we didn't, but we're just going to get one with Clayface, and we're going to
And
get
something.
like, yeah, and Swamp Thing, and we're going to get a mature detective story with Green Lanterns, and then we're just gonna get it all, and that's what I'm really excited for. I
A
I
question on
think
that
I think
actually.
that's also real quick. I think that's also at the heart of being like that is at the heart of things being true to comics, right? Comic books writers, comic book artists, they have different tones that they write stories in. You can pick up two different Batman books off the shelf, and one can be super action-packed blockbuster, and one can be grimdark, edgy, grimy, grim, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of lends yourself to the option of read what you want to read, follow authors and artists that you like, follow characters you like. Same thing applies to these films. If you see something that tonally you don't want to go into, like you don't have it's just like we were talking about with Star Wars. You don't have to go and watch Lanterns if you want something that's more uplifting. You should, but you don't have to. and it's also not like this negative world-ending thing if there is stuff out there that's not for you. I don't read, in Garrick, we don't read every comic that comes out every month. I read
I
like
do.
5.
True does, but
I do.
I read like 5 books, because if a comic sucks and it doesn't matter. I'm not going to read it. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Um,
rant over. I've got a lot of rants today. I'm sorry.
Gonna ask, do we know if anyone is attached to either write or direct Lanterns yet?
I am. Yeah, it's me.
Oh, okay.
I
So,
don't know why
sneak
I'm mad at
preview?
myself for my own casting.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Thank you. Okay.
I can look it up right now. We have the internet available to us at our fingers. Oh, Damon Lindelof is writing it with Tom King, and James Hawes is directing the first 2 episodes.
Who the hell is James Hawes?
Who? Yeah, I only know Tom King, and from knowing Tom King, I think it'd be a pretty dreary tone, but it should be interesting.
What, Nick, True, is your favorite Tom King story? Something that you think might
Superman Up and Away. It is by far his best work and one of the best Superman stories ever written. It is, if you haven't read it, it's like 6 issues. It was in the same kind of vein as his Women of Tomorrow run, where it's kind of a self-contained story. If you know who Superman is, you can read this story. It's by far his best work. Yeah.
Can I make a recommendation?
Go on. My bad.
Go ahead.
I don't want to make one. Mr. Miracle. His Mr. Miracle run was really good as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So for people not familiar with Damon Lindelof, he did Lost. He's a producer.
Yeah, one of the greatest shows of all time, baby.
The Leftovers, which is a really popular show.
Incredible show.
The Watchmen
Wait.
miniseries. So,
Really?
yeah. I mean,
this show's
in
about
for
to
absolute
slap. We are eating good. What the hell?
And they did say that Lanterns is like a detective mystery type show. So every week it's gonna be just me sitting here smoking. Like, what did that mean?
Yeah.
What was that item that they were looking at? It had 2 holes. I gotta Google it. Like that was my favorite part about shows like Lost. Like, don't look it up. Don't try to find it. But I did contribute to Lostopedia back in the day when it existed. And obviously we had a boatload of videos on the Watchmen series as it came out. Both Garrick and I love that. I'm actually rewatching it right now. I'm on the 4th episode. I've been watching one here and there. So pretty cool. But I'm a fan.
Yeah, I absolutely loved the Watchmen series. That's something that you should definitely check out if you haven't. Read the book and then watch that as a follow-up. I think it's a great follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
If there was ever anything that was going to try and follow up the triumph that is Watchmen, I think this series does a hell of a job. Introduces a bunch of new characters that are really interesting and compelling, and some guy covers himself in lube and slides down the drain.
Which, by the way, I called who Lube Man was, like, in episode 2, so you're welcome.
Great job. But yeah, Lanterns, I think it's going to be sick. We're really excited for it. Obviously, I think we're really excited for everything. I don't think there's anything that's been announced where we're like, I don't need that. There might be one of these days, but the problem is I love DC so much that even if you announce like a Condiment King spin-off movie, I'll be like, Condiment King.
That would get me more hype than anything.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm like, let him cook.
Yeah,
Condiment King and Polka Dot Man teaming up for a buddy cop adventure? Okay, sign me up.
All right. That sounds cool.
Condiment King, played by Tim Robinson. You're welcome, Hollywood. I just made you $1 billion.
We did it.
I just made James Gunn
so much money. If Tim Robinson's got to be somewhere in this DC universe.
I would love it.
Even if he's just a little side guy.
Make him Kite Man. Fuck it. Who cares?
Bro, as Kite Man would go crazy. Make him Booster Gold. Make him something.
Can you imagine Batman like knocks him over and he's like, "What were you doing out here, Condiment King?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Your mic did not pick that up. You're way
Yeah.
too loud. We actually just, for all the people listening, Nick tried to do a Tim Robinson impression, and it didn't pick up
Yeah.
at all.
Out of the range of the mic.
Tim Robinson as Two-Face as a lawyer.
Just him as anyone, I think would be great.
Yeah.
Catwoman.
He just shows up and he's like, Lady Luck.
Tim
All right, I'm done.
Robinson
I'm sorry. I'm
as
losing
anyone. Clayface, I think would be cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get to these super chats. Thank you everybody for checking it out. If you aren't aware or didn't know, at the end of every episode, we take a look at all the super chats. We answer any questions and read any comments that you have. And of course, the GOAT Turner has returned with 3 super chats today. One for $10. When we were talking about the Suicide Squad earlier, he said, at least it gave us a good 21 pilot song, and I think the footage, talking about Superman, looked fine. It'll probably be better when it releases in theaters. I agree on both fronts. Maybe if they really, really want to address the controversy, take that eyeball in just a little centimeter closer in. And
then James would have to admit there was CGI used.
Then he would have to be like, yeah, okay, we did change little.
I moved his eye in because you guys kept pissing your pants on Twitter. I'm sorry.
Don't address the trolls. Just keep trucking.
Exactly.
Doing what you're doing. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I think it looks fine. It looks completely fine. His next super chat, I'm trying to keep an open mind for Superman. I love James Gunn. Hey, that's the best you can do. Keep an open mind, even if you're not like super excited about it. Don't go in with a super negative slant. Just go in completely open to liking it, loving it, or hating it. I think that's the best way to go into anything. A film, a musical album, a play, a book, whatever. Just go in with an open mind, and if you don't like it, you don't like it, but it could surprise you. If you go in with like wanting to hate it, you're probably going to hate it.
I would say go in optimistic. And if you find out that you don't like it, make it your whole personality. Really get online and just ruin all of your engagement. Make that your whole, just let it radicalize you if you can. I'm sorry.
And his last super chat. Thank you again, Turner. Unrelated, but what is our thoughts on the Invincible season 3 castings? I like Jesse Pinkman showing up. It's power play.
Yeah, so I probably can't comment too much on it because I'm under embargo. I've seen the majority of the third season already.
I'm Nick. I have
Garrick doesn't watch it because he's
I watched the last season.
He barely returns my DMs on a daily basis.
You're like, only one person can watch the screeners at a time. So if you're done, you're done.
Just trying to
I'll check out the screeners. All right, I'm gonna watch Invincible tonight. Not to flex on everyone.
The castings are really good.
Oh, you just broke the embargo. I'm calling them right now.
The ones that we know about that they've announced are really good. In my opinion, on who they chose to cast.
Oh, there you go.
On their performances.
No
but there are 2 mystery castings that we don't know yet, and I'm sure that those will be great as well. Because Invincible, my friends,
me and Nick.
Redacted, but good. Invincible, good. I like Invincible.
That's a good comic book thing.
Good comic and series up until season 2 because I can't talk about 3 yet. But I will in 8 days.
Man, there were so many people trying to get me onto Invincible for so long.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Drew was definitely one of them. Like every day, like they were talking about it in the Discord as they were like pretty much all of you were like reading it together, like reading along through it. Maybe I should have got in on the hype, but you know, I was there.
As soon as I posted that first video, Garrick was, and it started racking up views. Garrick was like, "I'll read all 144 issues in the next 2 days,"
and I did, and it was sick.
Dude, it was monstrous. Loved it.
Yeah, it was really good. You know, I don't always commit to these random shows that come out that are based on comics. Nick will commit. I'll commit if it's worth my while. I read Umbrella Academy. Love that. I don't know. We haven't got a comic for that in a while.
Yeah.
And I
What
also
happened to
never
that
finished
show?
the last season.
Oh, is
so
it
I couldn't
finished?
say. Yeah. I
How
know.
many seasons was it?
4. I know
Oh,
that
okay.
Gallagher, who played 5 in that show, was a fan cast for everyone forever to be Robin in the DC Extended Universe. And I don't know how old he is now, probably like 50, 61. Probably the same age as Ulrich Thompson at this point. But I think he could be like a great Tim Drake or something. Depending on like, all right, how old is Damian gonna be? How old is Nightwing gonna be? And how old is Red Hood gonna be?
I just hope Nightwing's a puppet in live action.
What?
But I don't.
Crisis isn't here, so I can say that.
What's
A puppet?
What puppet?
What does that mean?
No, you guys know that the Brave and Bold film is like going to be a combination of CGI and puppetry, right?
I thought it was
Oh,
like stop
okay.
motion, right?
No, it's their puppets. They're like CGI. Yeah, never mind. Joke spoiled. When we're off air, I'll
I
explain
hope
puppetry.
Nightwing's a real
Too
boy.
deep of a cut.
Yeah, I didn't know he was gonna be.
They'll eventually be
Pinocchio.
real.
I didn't know.
But what if, like, in the live action film, there's just a fucking
It's a puppet
full-size
fighting
man
next
in
to
there?
a live action actor.
It's a
Yeah.
but
And
it's a
no one
Muppet.
addresses it at all.
It's a Muppet with somebody's like hand up it. Yeah, it's like it's Elmo.
It's giant, right?
Hey everyone.
Good.
But thank you so much, Turner. And for anybody else that's interested in having their comments or questions addressed by us, just leave us a super chat. Really appreciate you doing that. But that's going to be it for us. We've reached an hour, guys. That was a quick hour. 2 topics, a 2-second clip of Superman, and a casting for Sinestro, and we did it for an hour. That's just how good we are. That's how dedicated we are to the DC universe. We can talk about anything for an hour. We'll talk next week. Who knows what we're talking about? Who knows? We could talk about
Hopefully
anything.
another casting.
We didn't even talk about that Supergirl set photo, and we could have speculated on that for another hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
That'll be
up.
next week.
Yeah,
Tune
that'll be
in.
next week. I can't wait till we see the Supergirl suit. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, everybody who tuned in live. Thank you if you're watching elsewhere. No, I guess you're only watching on YouTube. But thank you if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio podcast. We're now on iHeartRadio, everyone, which apparently is the second biggest podcast platform behind Spotify these days. I had no clue, but we are on iHeartRadio. So thank you to everybody listening after. And if you want to check us out live, we are live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com /
Garrick meant Wednesday, because today is Wednesday.
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah,
I said Thursday. Every Wednesday we are live. We used to be on Thursdays, but we had to change it. So every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be it for us this week in the DCU Experience. For Nick, True, and Crisis, who sadly could not make it this week, thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.